Hi everyone, welcome to Dress It Up Buttons. How has everyone's week been so far? We've made it to Wednesday. We are so close to the weekend. It's just right there. I'm super excited about it too. I am looking forward to another weekend. I don't know. I know a lot of people are working at home, and so the weekdays and the weekends tend to blend into each other, but I try very, very hard to make my weekends different from my weekdays, so I'm always looking forward to it. It's nice, grill out, have some good weather. Hopefully it's nice wherever you are. It's nice here, but it's very, very humid. So, which actually kind of leads me into, nice little segue into our project today, because it feels like beach weather, right? It's June. We can officially say that it is summer here in the States because we had Memorial Day. Memorial Day kind of is the unofficial mark of summer. We don't officially start summer for another few days, but it's hot enough here. I'm calling it. It's summertime, and summertime means summer jewelry, summer buttons, summer fun, right? And so I'm going to show you today. Hey, Suzanne, welcome in. I'm going to show you today, hey, Miss Donna, I'm going to show you how to take some Shank Style buttons. Sorry, I've got a hair that just keeps wanting to be in my mouth today. I'm going to show you. Oh, Suzanne says we're getting a tropical storm this weekend. Oh my gosh. Well, enjoy the week before. I would say enjoy your weekend, but don't enjoy your weekend. Be safe this weekend. Enjoy the few days before that hits. That is no good. Wait, what day is it? Yeah, Wanda, I know. It's Wednesday, my dudes. It's a Wednesday. And normally we do Tuesday, but yesterday was Blackout Tuesday, so we did not do a Facebook Live yesterday. So we're doing a Facebook Live today. And if you guys don't care, since it is kind of our unnatural schedule for things, right? If you would give this a share, that would be super, super helpful. Very, very, very much appreciated. Okay, so I started to talk about, hey Trisha, I started to talk about what our project is for today. And I didn't quite get there because you know how I am. I like to ramble, but we're using some Shank Style buttons. We're using Seashells at the Seashore. And I'm going to show you 3 easy ways to turn these into earrings using the barest of necessities. Shank Style buttons, you guys know these are, there are a Shank Style button that is literally for everyone when it comes to Dress It Up buttons. And there are Shank Styles that, are not just this for summer. Like there is a whole collection of summertime Dress It Up buttons. And I wanted to take advantage of that, right? I wanted to show you just how easy it is. You can turn this into something wearable that you can wear other than turning it into hemp jewelry like we did last week. So I'm going to show you how to do it with wire. This week, we're going to make 3 easy pairs of earrings. These are going to be super quick and easy. You guys are going to be whipping these up in absolutely no time, even for people who are crafters, but not jewelry makers, because believe it or not, there is a difference. Not everybody that makes crafts is a jewelry maker. Even you guys are going to be able to relate to this project and take this and run with it. I know you will. So it's a good one. These seashells that are in here are so dang pretty. Let's get it down on the mat. Hold on, let me scroll up for just a second. I saw a comment. Karen says, I like you having on Wednesdays because Laura is on Tuesdays. You know what? I did not know that. That is really, really good information. Thank you, Karen, for letting me know that, because we said from the very beginning that our Dress It Up Facebook Lives, we weren't sure what time we were going to stick with. So I definitely want to take something like that into consideration. I'll pass that on to Sarah because we do love Laura and definitely don't want to, be going on at the same time because nobody wants to compete for people to watch, and it's really hard as a viewer to flip back and forth because you don't want to miss anything, right? Okay, so let's get down to it. Let's talk about these Shank Style buttons. So Dress It Up Buttons has a Shank Style button for literally everybody, but they also have the regular 2 and 4 hole buttons as well. But these guys, we see a lot of these. And did you know that you can purchase Dress It Up buttons at Walmart? Did you? Kathleen says, you mean there are people who don't make jewelry? I know, right? Crazy to think there are people that don't make jewelry. So, all right, let's take a look at these. And yes, you can buy your Dress It Up buttons at Walmart. And that makes it super, super convenient. So this is Seashells at the Seashore. And within this pack, there are these cutie patootie. Every single button that is in this pack, I adore. And I don't know if it's because I really love the shape or if I really love the glitter or if it's a combination of both, but I cannot get enough of these. So making jewelry out of these was like really exciting for me. Look at the sparkle on that. So, so pretty. So there are those guys. And then you are going to get some of these little sea stars that are so cute. Love these. And then these little twisty guys, love, love. And then just a kind of standard shell shape. And that's these guys. Aren't they pretty? So, so, so pretty. So these are going to look beautiful on their own. These are going to look beautiful in whatever craft project you add them to. And they are a Shank Style button. So I do like the shinies. I'm a sucker for the shinies. So the shank on the back of these, you can very easily take a cutter tool and trim that off, and then you're going to have a nice flat back that you can glue down to a surface, or you can sew it just like a Shank Style button. You just treat it the same way you would any Shank Style button. You can sew this to whatever project you're working on. So really, Dress It Up buttons can be used in a number of ways. Just because they're buttons doesn't limit them just to sewing projects and clothing. Of course, they look beautiful that way, but they also look beautiful in paper crafts. They look great in any kind of jewelry project that you can work them into. They look really good in scrapbooking. Like, there is literally a place where you can put a Dress It Up button. Like, I have yet to find a surface that didn't look better with a pop of Dress It Up buttons on it. Okay, so Wanda says the sand dollars even have little holes in them for dangles. You definitely could use that. We're going to put some dangles on this guy. I didn't use that little opening there, but you certainly could. Okay, so I'm going to start with the simplest. We're going to do three. Okay, we're going to do three different styles of earring. I'm going to start with the simple, and then we're going to work up from there. But I got to tell you, all three of these are super, super simple and quick and easy to do. So this is the very first one we're going to do. Okay, it is all connected. The ear wire, the whole thing is connected. We're just going to use a piece of 20 gauge wire. So I'm going to move these out of the way just a little bit. I'm going to put this guy down so you can see where we're going. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of wire and let's get to it. So as far as the wire, I'm using 20 gauge wire for this. I started out using the 18, and then when I realized that I was going to include the ear wire in the design itself, the 18 is just a little too big for some people when it comes to earrings. It's just a really thick, and that can be uncomfortable. So we're sticking with the 20 for this. You can use 20 gauge artistic wire. You can use 20 gauge German style wire. Makes no difference with this project with any of these. So keep that in mind. And 20 gauge is readily available just about everywhere. So, hey Becky, hey. Lucinda, it's so good to see everybody. Come on in. We're gonna make some earrings. So for the back of these, I just want to kind of show you, we've done a little loop-de-loop here on the back with our 20 gauge wire. So I'm going to show you how we do that. We're going to take our piece of 20 gauge wire. You're only going to need a few inches of this. This is probably a little bit more than you need. 4 inches is going to get it for you, okay? You want to take your 20 gauge wire, and you just kind of want to take it into one of these shapes, right? You just want to kind of curve it, curve your two ends towards each other, okay? And then we're going to hook that through the shank that is on the back of our button here. All right, so there's actually a couple of ways that you can do this. I'm going to show you the quick and easy way. So we're going to take one of our ends of wire, okay? And we're going to go, we actually want to go behind this piece. So we're going to go behind the other piece, okay? And we're going to pull it down tight, right? See that? We've just kind of closed it down. So really we've just twisted the two. We didn't really twist them together, but we've pulled them and cinched them up. One piece that we didn't use at all, one end is still going up. The other end we now have coming around the back of the shank. We're going to go all the way around the shank and right back up the other side, okay? Right back up here to where we were. Now, that's nice and secure, but we only need one of the pieces of wire, right, to make an ear wire out of. So I have to get rid of one of the wires. And actually, I think this one's going to be opposite than the other, but that's okay. So we're going to take the one piece of wire that's nice and long, so we've got plenty to work with, okay? And we're just going to leave it. This guy, the one that we have wrapped all the way around and done the little twisty with, we're going to take it and we're going to take it over to this side. Okay, so now we're coming across the top, and any way that you can work it to move this around, you just want to wrap it around. So you may have to lift this guy up just a tiny, tiny bit, okay? And we want to wire wrap around this straight section of wire, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, whatever you can get in there. And if you have trouble, those of you who don't make jewelry, if you've got trouble getting that wire nice and snug in there, you can always come in with a pair of pliers and kind of pinch down on it. You can really manipulate that wire and get those pliers in there where you may not be able to get your fingers in, right? Because we're working with a small amount of space here. But once you have wrapped that around the straight section of the wire, we just want to trim that off. So now we just have this one piece of wire sticking up. That's all we need to make an ear wire, is just one section of wire. So however you can secure that one, right, just play with it. However you can secure it. In fact, I'll do this one again so that you can see it twice, because I know that that might be a little complicated, or at least look like it was complicated. So I'll do this one again. But first, let's go ahead and create the ear wire for this. So I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to bend it forwards, right? So there's a section of wire right there between the wraps and the top of the button. Okay, now I've taken it and it's coming out the front of our button. Okay. At this point, you want to use something round to create your ear wire shape. I'm going to use some bell making pliers. If you're not a jewelry maker and you don't have bell making pliers, that's okay. Use something else that you've got. You may have a dowel on hand. You can use a marker. There are a ton of things that are just laying around that have a nice round shape. That's all you need, is just a nice curve that you can take that wire and guide it over, okay? Anything will do. A pencil, a marker. Markers are probably the #1 thing that most people seem to have on hand, especially crafters. If you've got markers on hand, all you got to do is just use that marker, stick it in there and guide that wire over the top, okay, of that. And then we have extra wire here. We want to come down. We want to trim this up and make it look more like an ear wire. So I'm going to trim the tail of that off. Okay, and you'll notice that's not enough room to get your ear, to hook that onto your ear. I do want to clean this up just a little bit. I'm going to take a pair of pliers, grab the tail end of that. Are your ends going to match? They will. They will. I'll show you. We'll just measure them against each other as we're moving along. Okay, give that a little crook, right, and open it up a bit, and you've got an earring. Now, these are mismatched. They're going in the opposite directions, which is totally fine. You definitely want to hit the end of this if you've got a wire rounder tip. Great. If you don't have a wire rounder tip, you definitely want to hit this with an emery board. So a fingernail file will be fine. You just want to make sure that you get any of the sharp edges off of this. Okay, you don't want to give this away or wear this until you hit the end of this and smooth off the end. It's really uncomfortable to wear as an earring until you do. Okay, so as far as creating the ear wire shape, super easy. I'm going to show you again though the wire wrap on the back of this. Okay, so I don't want anybody to get confused with that, because I know I kind of zipped through that pretty fast. All right, so let's do that one again before we move on to another way of creating an earring. Okay, So we're just going to take another piece of our 20 gauge wire, and again, German style wire will work, or artistic wire will work. Just as long as it's 20 gauge, you're good to go. Okay, we're going to take about 4 inches of that wire, and you just want to take the 2 ends together. This is going to be the technique for all 3 of the different ways that we make earrings. Okay, we're always going to start out this way. All right, so I'm going to come get the earring. Okay, we're going to hook our wire through the shank on the back, just like so. Okay, keeping it just like so. One of the wires, we're not going to move it, we're going to leave it. Right, Wanda? You can turn literally any dress it up button into an earring. Like, no joke. Literally, it works with all of them. Okay. One of the wires we're going to leave stationary. We're not going to move it at all. The other wire, I do for whatever reason, and it doesn't make much difference, but I like it to go behind, right? I like it to go behind the wire that we're not using, okay? And I'm just bending it over this direction, and I'm going behind. See what I mean? Okay. So I've just kind of snugged these guys down. Okay. I'm going to continue with this wire, and I'm going to come up the other side of the shank and right back up to the top. Okay. So I've made one loop around and then one big loop around. Okay. All right, now what I need to do is now I need to get down to just one wire. So in order to do that, I'm just going to leave this wire, the one that we haven't moved at all, I'm going to leave it exactly the same. The second one, the wire that we've been using this entire time, again, going to kind of bend it out this direction again, going to the left again, okay? And then I want to fold it over. That's a really good way of looking at it, okay? Folding it over this top wire that we haven't used, okay? And then I just want to wire wrap, right? Which is basically just folding over a couple of times. So there's one. I'm going to give it one more. Okay, and keep it down nice and tight. If you can't get it in there nice and tight, use your pliers, okay? Don't be afraid to come in there with a tool. Right? The tiny ends of your pliers are going to be able to get in there where your fingers can't. Now I'm just going to come in and I'm going to trim that off so we don't need that extra wire. Now I've just got the one wire to work with, and all we're going to do is just turn that one into an ear wire just like we did before. Okay? So again, to do that, we're going to take that wire and bend it to the front of the button just like so. Okay? Now you just want to find something round. If you've got the bell making pliers, great. If you don't, use a marker, use a dowel, whatever you've got. Okay, I'll use a dowel this time just to show you that anything that's round will work. And you just want to take that wire and guide it around to create that rounded shape, right? Okay. And then on the back, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to trim off. Okay. Now that still doesn't look very much like an ear wire, so I am going to come in with my pliers, take the tail end of that wire and just give a little crook in it, just like that. And then I am going to open it up a bit. Okay. And there you go. Definitely, like I said before, you want to hit that with an emery board or a wire rounder tip. Okay. And you've got earrings. Super, super quick and easy. And this technique, just like Wanda said, this is going to work on all of your Shank Style buttons. It's not going to matter what the Shank Style button looks like, because you're going to bend that wire over the front of the button no matter what. Right? Even if it's a big button, you still have to, you definitely want to take into account, because if you're working with a great big huge button, you definitely want to add some more wire to this, but you're still going to fold frontwards and then go around something, whether it's your bell making pliers, whether it is a rod, a dowel rod of some variety, or a marker or a pencil, whatever that you're going to use to get that rounded shape. Okay. And then hit that end with something to get a nice clean end on that so it doesn't hurt when you put it on. But this is going to work for everything. Okay, so if you just want a quick and easy earring, that's the way to go. But I'm going to show you two more because why not? That was just too darn easy, right? So we gotta take this up a notch. So now I'm going to show you how to take a Shank Style earring, and we're going to make a little dangle out of it. Okay, we're going to add the exact same 20 gauge wire. Let me flip this over and show you the back of it. Okay, we're going to do a little bit different wire wrapping on the back of this, but still simple, easy to do. Okay, and then we're just going to add a jump ring and a little bead dangle to it and an ear wire that is separate. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take another piece of 20 gauge wire, excuse me, and we are going to, again, before we get started, we're going to take the wire and do this with it. Okay, take the two ends together. Okay, now we're going to hook that through. Actually, we're not going to hook it through like we did to start with. We want these two ends close together. We want one end to go in on one side and we want the other end to go in on the other side. So now we're kind of creating an X with our wire. Okay, they're just crisscrossing each other within that shank. And then you just want to take the two ends and pull. Pull down as much as you want. Okay, because what you're doing is you're creating this loop that you're going to actually see from the front, right? That's where we're going to hook our ear wire. So you can make this a tiny little loop that you can barely see, or you can make this part of the earring style, right? And make it big and large, and it's just part of the decoration. Okay, now on the back, hold your, however much of this you decide to leave as a loop, you want to hold that down so that we don't alter that at all, because we are going to kind of be wiggling these two tail ends of the wire, and if you're not careful, it will shorten up your loop. So now we just want to bring these guys together, right? I'm just going to crisscross them. Okay, now I'm going to pick one of them because one of them is going to be our loop. One of them we're going to get rid of. I'm going to take this one over here on the left, just going to give it more of a bend so that now we're coming straight down. I'm going to take this one that's over here coming to the right and going across the top of this guy, and I am going to wrap around. I'm going to wrap around 2, maybe 3 times. And again, if you have trouble getting your fingers in there to wrap that around this straight section of wire, use your tools. Your tools are your friends, okay? Really, really important. All right. So now I can trim this tail off. I don't need this anymore, and we're down to just the singular wire, which is exactly what we want, because we need to make a little loop here to create a place to put a dangle, okay? So when you're looking at it from the front, this is what you've got. You've got your little wire wraps just peeking out right here at the bottom. You've got your loop up here at the top. We can actually go ahead and add an ear wire to this if we want to. Just open up an ear wire, hook that on, use whatever kind of ear wire you want, and we're halfway there, okay? Down here, we want to create a loop, and instead of doing a wrapped loop, since we've already got wraps here, we're going to fake it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that wire and just bend it just like that. And we're going to create a simple loop instead of a wrapped loop, okay? So I'm going to come in with a cutter tool, and I'm going to trim off my wire. I'm going to leave myself 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch of wire, just enough to create a loop with, so trim that off. You don't need that. Now I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. I'm going to grab the tail end of that wire, and I'm going to roll back to create a loop. Okay, now I've got a loop here at the bottom. It looks like a wrapped loop, but it's not really. Okay, now I've got the perfect place where I can dangle anything I want to. And again, this is a technique that's going to work with any of your Shank Style buttons, right? With just one piece of 20 gauge wire, we have now given a place up here to attach an ear wire. We could have made this nice and short so that the ear wire just sat right above the top of the button, but I like to add it and make it a little bit bigger so that it's part of the design itself. Now we've got a loop here on the bottom where we can add literally anything we want to. We could add another button to this if we wanted to. We could add chain to this and dangle down if we wanted to. We're just going to take one of these beautiful miracle beads that I got out of one of my Jesse James beads mini mixes. I'm going to put that guy on a head pin. And just real quick, I'm going to make a wrapped loop. So I'm going to grab that wire right where it is exiting that bead with a pair of chain nose pliers. I'm going to bend that wire 90 degrees, take the chain nose away, and I'm going to come in with the round nose. Okay, grabbing the wire so it's running between the barrel of the pliers. I'm going to take it up and over. Now I got to roll those pliers out of the way so that I've got room to take my wire over here to the other side. Oh no! I just pulled that straight through the bead. That's okay. Luckily, I have more than one of these. Did not see that coming. All right, hold on. I have to grab another head pin. All right, let's do that again. That head pin was just a little too small for that bead. All right, let's get back up to where we were, okay? Now, if you don't want to do a wrapped loop, or you're not a seasoned jewelry maker, you're not real comfortable with all of this wrapping and all of that, right? If you're more just a crafter, you can certainly do just simple loops here. You don't have to do a wrapped loop. I'm just doing a wrapped loop because that's kind of my default setting. But feel free to make a loop however it makes you happy, okay? Just so long as you've got a connection point here. I'm going to trim that off. Okay, and now I'm just going to use a 4mm jump ring to go between these two guys. I could have wire wrapped him directly on if I wanted to. I like to add a jump ring just so that I've got a little extra length here. Hook that on, close that back, and we very, very quickly have turned our Shank Style buttons into dangle earrings. Awesome. Okay, that's going to work. That's going to work with any of your Shank Style buttons. All right, now I'm going to show you one more. The last one, we're going to use this sand dollar guy, and he's got 2 dangles. Okay, so I want to flip him over and let me show you what the back looks like. Looks a little bit different than what we kind of looks like a big fat guy, right? Here's his big old belly, and there are his little feet sticking out. And his feet are where we are going to add our chain dangles. And again, this is going to work for any of your Shank Style buttons as well. And same thing to start out with. We're going to start out with just a short piece of 20 gauge wire. Give yourself about 4 inches of this. Okay. And actually, hold on just a second. Okay. I have a little bit more than 4. You might want to give yourself more like 5 with this one, because you do have to create 2 little loopy-doos with this one. All right, same thing. We're going to start out the exact same way. Take those 2 wires, find the ends, kind of get them close together here, right? We just want to push them together. Created this kind of drop shape. All right, we're going to come to the back of our button. And again, one tail end of that wire is going to go one direction. The other tail end is going to go the other direction. So we're just crisscrossing, right? Just creating an X within that shank with our wire. And again, going to just pull down, okay? Leaving yourself as much of a loop as you want. If you just want it barely peeking, see how that one's just barely peeking over the top, right? Then I want to pull down quite a bit. Look at it from the front. See how that wire is just barely popping over the front. That's what I want. Yes, Susanna, I absolutely can take pictures of both the front and the back. That's a really good way for you guys to be able to go back and look at these again. So yes, great suggestion. I will do that for you. Okay, now on the back of this guy, okay, I have to make 2 loops, but I can't just make 2 loops on these ends, just trim them off and make loops, because there's still too much play here. They're not secure. So what I want to do is I want to take one end and go this direction, this end and go this direction. They're still not secure. I'm going to go through the shank one more time, okay? And it might help you to use your pliers to do this. But okay, so just a reminder, okay? So I crisscrossed them, and then I've crisscrossed again down here on the bottom. I haven't twisted them or anything. They're just crossing over each other, okay? Now I'm going to guide one end back through our loop, our shank. It's not a loop, it's a shank, okay? We're working real slow, going one end at a time. And now I'm going to use my pliers to pull this, okay? I want to pull this one, I want to pull it tight, okay? As tight as I can get it. Use your pliers if it's not going to give you what you want, okay? Now I'm going to take the other end and I'm going to do the same thing. Luckily for us, the shank on the back of this has plenty of room, so we can get this 20 gauge wire through there a couple of times if we need to. All right, so I'm taking the left side, going back through the shank, use my pliers, pull it nice and tight. Use those pliers to your advantage to really pull, okay? Now it's secure. Now I don't have to worry that whatever, after I make my loops and I dangle something from them, I don't have to worry that it is going to affect this loop up here in any way, shape, or form, okay? It's now completely secure. We've looped through twice. You can see where we've looped around twice on either side, okay? And I will take more pictures of that so you guys can see it for later. And then I'm just crossing them here in the front and at the bottom rather. And actually, we don't have to do that. Just so long as you've looped through twice, they don't have to cross anymore. Now we're just going to treat them like legs, right? We're going to trim these off. We're going to create two little loops on the back. So I'm going to come in with my cutter tool. I'm going to trim off. I'm going to leave myself about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch, somewhere in between there, okay? And I want to trim both of them off about the same, okay? All right. Now I do want to come in with my round nose pliers, grab one of the ends of that wire, and this doesn't have to be pretty, it's on the back, okay? Nobody's ever going to see it. I just rolled that back to create a simple little loop right there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, okay? Grab the tail end of that wire and I'm just rolling it to create a little loop here. This one ended up being a little bit bigger of a loop, but that's okay. That's totally fine, because like I said, nobody's going to see those two loops right there on the back, right? Okay, now I've got two loops where I can dangle anything I want to, and they're going to come from the back. So when you flip it over, it's just dangling from the back of the earring. Whereas this little sand dollar, like you guys mentioned, there's a hole here. I could have dangled something from there. But assuming that you're working with a shank style button that doesn't have a loop, but you still want to dangle things from it, you can definitely do it this way. And you've got two little loops back here where you can dangle things from, okay? So let's see here. Let's take one of these ear wires. We're going to pop an ear wire on this guy up here on that top loop. Okay, and now on the back, I just want to attach, I'm going to attach two little pieces of chain, and then we'll do two little dangles, okay, with the same little miracle beads. So I'm using a very, very small amount, as in 2 links of chain. That's how short, with a little 4mm jump ring. So one of those dangles is going to be really, really short. I'm going to hook that onto the loop, close that back, okay? I will have another 4mm jump ring here that we'll attach a bead to, and then I've got another little piece of chain because I want them to be staggered, but you can do this however you want to. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. So instead of 2 links of chain, this one is 4 links of chain. So I doubled it and just same thing. It's on a 4mm jump ring. I'm just going to open and close that jump ring onto that loop, Okay, so we've got two little sections of chain back here, and we need to make our loops. So I'm going, or make our dangles with our beads. So again, 2 little beads on a head pin, and then I'm just going to do a real quick wrapped loop on each one of these. This head pin, my head pins are a little on the small side for these beads, looks like. It looks like that one's going to do. Okay, so in with the round nose pliers, up and over, roll those pliers out of the way, take that wire over to the other side, and we are going to do our wire wrapping. So there's one, and again, if you don't want to do wire wrapping, you definitely can just do simple loops on these, just so long as you've got a loop. That's all that it takes to make the connection there, okay? Take that wire up and over, roll the round nose out of the way, take the wire over to the other side, and just like so. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my cutter tool, trim the tails off, and we'll add 4mm jump rings to these and hook these to those little pieces of chain on the back. And our third pair of earrings out of our Shank Style buttons will be done. And really, it's just a variation on the same, pretty much the same technique for this one and the last one that we just made. And then the one at the beginning with the making the ear wire, really all that is the hard part about it is just figuring out how many times to wrap the wire around. That's really all there is to it. I'll have pictures, so that'll be something, oh whoops, I closed that without adding the bead. That'll be something that you can refer back to for sure. And I think this is really going to kind of open up the world of Shank Style buttons and jewelry for some of you. Some of my jewelry maker friends here. This is going to be a fun one. And for those of you who are just crafters that don't make jewelry, this may be a good jumping off point, right? For you to give your jewelry making a whirl and use some of your favorite dress it up buttons in these. Or you know, I don't know what I just said. Create beautiful earrings out of your favorite dress it up buttons. That's what it was supposed to, that's how it was supposed to come out of my mouth. All right, so there is pair number 3, and they're super, super cute. And on the back, you guys, nobody's ever gonna see that. But even if they do, right? I mean, it's not like it's a hot mess back here. It just looks like a guy with a big old belly and then 2 little feet sticking out. And we're just using those feet, those little loop feet, as a place to hang things. And if you wanted a third dangle from this earring, you definitely could have utilized that little hole that's in the sand dollar. But if you don't have that, you can add an extra jump ring between the 2 of these and one more, right? Let me show you what I mean, because I know some people don't like the 2. Don't like to, excuse my squeaky chair, guys. Some people don't like just having 2 dangles because that's not quite the same as having 3. I don't know. Some people are like that. I can be like that, you know, just kind of depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But if you wanted to add a third dangle or a section where you could add a third dangle, you could take these 2, right, and hook them together with another jump ring. I'm using a larger jump ring, using a 6mm jump ring here, right? So that doesn't change the way that they're dangling. You could probably use a 4mm, but just so you can see it. I just hooked that 6mm in there. Hook a 4mm in there, and now you've got another place right here where you can hang a third dangle if you want to, okay? So you can always alter this to suit whatever you want, as long as you've got the back section laid out like this. Then once you get that step down, you can kind of alter this and change it into whatever you whatever you want it to be. You can add more to it, you can do less, totally up to you. And of course that wire that is poking out at the top where we have our ear wire, you can snug that down even closer. You can bring it out really far, like with this guy. So you can kind of play with it and alter the look of all of these. All right, I'm going to flip you guys around and I'm going to try them all on so that you guys can see what they look like as actual earrings. This is a little bit different than seeing them laying flat, right? Kind of helps to see them in motion. So let's start with the first ones that we made. And those were, excuse me, these guys. So these guys are just straightforward, as simple as you can get it as far as the design is concerned. But once you put these on, gosh, they're so cool. And I love, it's, you know, it's a button. It's just a button, a Shank Style button. And you can do this with any of your favorite Dress It Up buttons, which is super, super cool. Yeah, Suzanne says, I love the fact that you don't cut the shank. Might as well utilize it, right? I mean, because there's obviously several different ways that you can use that shank to your advantage when it comes to making your jewelry. That is pretty. That is super, super pretty. That is a perfect summer earring right there. All right, so there's that one. And then the next step up was with just the one dangle, right, with the back, where we just kind of made 2 loops around. So I'll show you this guy. There's that one again, just so, so pretty. Very simple, right? As far as style is concerned, it's a simple, simple style. And then last but not least, the sand dollars with the 2 little dangles. And they are so pretty too. So you've got 3 different styles to choose from here. Any of these are going to work with your Shank Style Dress It Up buttons. You definitely can make beautiful jewelry with your 2-hole buttons or your 4-hole Dress It Up buttons as well. But if you've got a selection of Dress It Up buttons that you don't know what to do with and you really wish that you could turn them into jewelry, now I've given you a way that you can definitely turn these into anything. And on that same note, just to mention, we turned these 2, right? We turned these into earrings. Take the ear wire off, add a jump ring, and you've got a pendant. So you don't just have to stick with making them into earrings, right? Wanda, I love it. Wanda says, things I learned today. Shank buttons are beads, right? That's how I look at them. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. It was fun. I hope that I've given you some inspiration and maybe some ideas to take and use in your crafting, right? If you're using your Shank Style buttons for your paper crafts or your scrapbooking or your sewing, maybe give jewelry a try. You never know. You might just get hooked, right? All right, thank you guys so much for joining me. It has been fun. I will see you guys again next week with another fun Dress It Up buttons project. In the meantime, enjoy. Bye, guys.